All right, it is Monday, June 8th. I am here with the lovely, the talented, the slightly hoarse, Sunny Hostin.
I know, still slightly hoarse.
How are you?
Okay.
Yeah?
All right. Still struggling with the voice.
Yeah, I know it's hard, but you're getting through it. And I know I can tell you're saving yourself for the show. And
I am.
yes,
I am.
And then I'm running you ragged on the podcast. But as we were leaving the show today, something kind of fun happened. We walked out of the studio and walked right into Fat Joe.
I know.
This is very exciting.
Well, it's, he's friends with both Whoopi, and I'm friends with him as well. And he's slimmed down. He looks great.
Yes.
And he's such a super Knicks fan. He had a big orange leather jacket.
He's one of the longtime hardcore Knicks fans.
Yes, and I am, and Whoopi is as well.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because I attended a Knicks game with him this year.
With Fat Joe.
With Fat Joe, yeah. And he was just like, what do you think? What do you think? They look good. They look good. And I was like, I think they are going really far. And so he just said he didn't think in his lifetime he would ever see the Knicks in the finals. And I'm surprised because I think Joe and I are similar ages. I remember when the Knicks were everything. I mean,
but they were everything at the
Patrick
same time
Ewing,
as the
John
Bulls,
Starks, yes,
and
but
Michael Jordan.
But
so
they were great.
Yeah. Well, the last time
Great
they were in the
team.
finals, it was when the OJ chase broke up the finals.
That's
which was
right.
Crazy. I remember
That's
watching
right.
that.
That's right.
And I couldn't believe they're cutting away.
But I'm surprised he doesn't remember that. It was only, it was like, 27 years ago?
But they didn't win, and I think
No.
that's what sticks with you. And sports fans get beaten down sometimes.
But the Knicks are always going to come through.
Well,
eventually.
I don't know. I hope
I'm
so.
long suffering, but I got to tell you, I think this is the year. But I root for every New York team, Bronx, except for maybe the Mets. But the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees, the New York Giants, the Knicks. I mean, those are my teams.
You have to make some choices. So you have to do Knicks or Nets.
You have to do Knicks or Nets, and then you do have to do
Giants or Jets.
Yeah. You do, and you've got to do Yankees or Mets.
Correct.
Kind of too.
So I grew up in a Mets family, and I'm the Yankee fan.
Oh,
so it was a hard one.
I'm such a Yankee fan that I have a Yankee original seat
From the stadium?
From the stadium,
That's amazing.
bolted to my floor.
That's amazing.
In my home.
And you brought it with you when you changed houses?
Yes, I did.
As you should.
So I'm that kind of fan.
Respect,
right?
Yep.
So I'm surprised that Fat Joe, he's like.
I think a lot of Knicks fans are nervous. I grew up with a kid, like one of my close friends as a kid is now one of the leading Knicks influencers, NBA influencers.
Really?
His name's Tommy Beer for anybody who follows, and he's a great follow on social.
Yeah.
And he's like cautious. He's optimistic, but he's cautious.
No.
Even up to nothing. No one's taking it for granted.
And then the next two games are at home.
Yeah, no, it should be fine. However, a lot of people think that because the president's going tonight, there might be a jinx in the world here. We talked about it on the show today.
I know. He brings bad juju.
Well, he's disrupting things. He's a disruptor. There's no question about that.
He's a disruptor. His approval rating in New York is like lower than 30%.
It is.
New Yorkers don't like him. They didn't vote for him. And why is he coming to bring this chaos? What I don't like about it, I understand Whoopi's point. He's a native New Yorker.
Yeah, Whoopi's point was he's a real Knicks fan for earlier in his career.
Yes, but he's a Floridian now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He lost New York. I will say this. If you pay $15,000 for a ticket and you've now got to wait, you got to get there 2 hours earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bring your bag. You've got to take your shoes off, go through extensive security. It is something that a New Yorker should not have to go through. I mean, you've got President Obama, probably one of the biggest basketball fan presidents we've ever had, who plays basketball. He never went to the NBA finals.
No president's ever gone to the NBA finals
Yes, it's so
before.
disruptive, and I actually think it's insensitive to do it. And I don't think he should be there.
It's going to affect,
and I think he's a jinx.
It's going to affect the watch parties that were happening outside the Garden.
Well,
also.
And that's a big one because I've got to tell you, I was in New York for Game 2, and I was in the city, and I was trying to get back home out of the city, and on maybe it was 20 in the 20s on 9th Avenue. A bodega had actually taken a television and put it on the street. And do you know, I stopped and I stood and I watched the last 2 minutes with a group of people that we would have never been together. And it was so wild and so crazy. And someone said to me, "You look like Sonny Hostin from The View." I was like, "I am Sonny Hostin from The View, and I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm a native New Yorker." And we were like cheering, and they had that at Madison Square Garden. They
That's
had a big
great.
watch party, and now they can't have a watch party because the president's going to be there. It's taking something away from New Yorkers.
Well, I think it's going to have an impact.
He should watch it at Mar-a-Lago
I am concerned. I have a feeling that the Spurs are going to win tonight. I don't want them to
because of the bad juju.
because of the bad juju, because of like the disruption in the vibe, and also because
He's a vibe killer.
and also because I don't think the NBA wants a 4-game series. I'm just saying. I think the refs.
Really?
I don't know. The refs were tough in game 2.
They were
we'll
tough.
See. All
They
right.
were tough.
We'll see what happens. But
Bad juju.
yeah.
So you're saying you don't think they're going to win tonight?
I don't think they're going to win tonight.
I think they're getting it.
All right, I hope so.
All right.
Speaking of being a New Yorker
Yes.
and being from the Bronx, Jennifer Lopez is going viral for the suggestion that I guess it's kind of a hot take.
Okay.
That you could only be a New Yorker if you were born in one of the 5 boroughs of New York. A lot of people disagree with her. What do you think?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Now, I was born in Long Island. I consider myself a New Yorker.
Well, I was born in the Bronx, which is the only borough that has the in front of it.
True.
So I am definitely a native New Yorker.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was born in Madrid, but grew up a lot of his life
Right.
in New York. I don't believe he's a New Yorker.
It's a whole thing. So, when you grow up,
Sorry, man.
and he lived on Long Island too for a while, right?
did.
Yeah. So definitely the city. You go anywhere else in the country, you talk about the city and everyone knows you mean New York.
Yeah.
I feel like you, at some point, to be a real New Yorker, you have to live there for a while in the actual city, in the city proper. So I give that.
Manhattan over the Bronx?
Well, I lived in Manhattan.
No.
I think when you say the city to somebody, they think of Manhattan.
No, I mean, that doesn't make you a New Yorker.
If you're on Long Island, you're like, I'm going to the city tonight.
Because you lived in like some fancy condo.
I lived in Hell's
somewhere.
Kitchen, but yeah,
No,
it was fine. No?
I don't think so. I think Long Island would qualify.
Okay.
Because you were born in New York.
I was born in Oceanside, New York in a hospital.
I think
yeah.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I'm conflicted
Yes.
is that when I was pregnant with Gabriel,
Mm-hmm.
I gave birth in Maryland
Oh.
at Johns Hopkins. 2 weeks later, we moved back to New York.
And when you moved back to New York, you moved to Westchester, or where'd you live then?
We had 2 places,
Okay.
but so New York City
Oh, so you were in New York City.
and
Okay.
Westchester.
All right.
So I will say this. Gabriel's been in New York since he was 2 weeks old, but he's got a Maryland birth certificate.
The shame.
And Paloma has a New York birth
You got
certificate.
to call Wes Moore, see if he can bury that.
I
Yeah.
mean, so I don't disagree
Mm-hmm.
with J-Lo. Like, Sarah can't be a New Yorker,
No, I agree. Sarah's not a New
nor
Yorker.
can Anna,
No.
nor can Alyssa.
No. Whoopi's a New Yorker.
Yeah, and so is Joy.
Yeah.
And so am I.
All right. It's interesting. But how long? I mean, what if someone lives in New York for 20 years?
No, my father was born in Georgia, and he lived in New York for 20 years.
All right.
And he's not a New Yorker.
This is interesting. All right. Let's go back to Donald Trump. We talked about this Meet the Press interview this weekend, and the president stormed off. And as you pointed out, at the core of this were these false claims about election fraud.
Yeah.
Not only the 2020 election, but also what's going on in California.
Correct.
And it does seem to me, and again, I think a lot of this, and a lot of the reason people are so surprised that Spencer Pratt did not win,
He was unqualified.
of course, and
And
it's
he's
a Democratic
He's a
state.
registered Republican who ran as an independent, which I think is dishonest in a way. And I don't think California voters got duped by that.
But I think part of the reason
He was also
people-
interviewed by someone and was asked, I believe it was Jamel Hill, I'm not sure, was asked what he intends to do for the black community because a historic black community was burned down to the ground. And he said he wasn't sure, but that he would probably, get some people to counsel him on it.
I think part of the reason people expected him to do better on Twitter is because, or X or whatever it is because this bubble of social media is getting smaller and smaller and more extreme.
Yes.
And I think you really, and you and I have been talking about this for as long as I've known you.
X and Twitter, it's not real.
It's not real life.
Only 20% of Americans are on Twitter.
But they're loud.
X. Yeah,
80%.
80% are the loudest.
Right.
But it's not real.
No.
And Spencer Pratt was never going to become mayor of LA. I've always said, start smaller. Community organizing, that's okay. But he's a reality star. We understand how that has not worked out. People that don't have real credentials, like you need expertise to be a leader. And so he should try like a council person first or something like that. Now, as far as Trump, of course he wants to deny that he lost, but there have been 60 lawsuits. 2020, he lost. It's interesting, though, that he never challenges the 2024 election.
Of course not.
Right?
And
because he won.
Right. And oddly,
by the smallest margin since Nixon, by the way. It's like a 1% to 2% margin.
Right. And in 2020, when he lost, the Republicans were in power.
Yes.
And when he won, the Democrats were in power.
Correct.
That's the odd thing. But
yes. But I think he just wants to sow doubt in the election process, just as a matter that, and we see that across the world.
And you would think, I wouldn't think it would be as effective as it is, because you'd think like, well, to the point you guys made on the show today, every time they lose, it's fraud.
Yeah. 60% of Republicans believing.
Well, that's the statistic that was shocking.
Is pretty shocking.
Yeah, and I don't think it was anywhere close to that after 2020.
Yeah.
I think it's grown over time.
That's surprising.
But
it's because of Trump.
Well, he says it every chance he can get.
He sows real doubt in that, and it's an ego thing because he's probably a malignant narcissist. That's what my chat GPT MD tells me. But also because I think that in sowing doubt, there is an easier path to victory for Republicans. Right?
Going back to Spencer, I do think, and tell me if you disagree, but there is something to be said for him wanting to be involved in the community, for him wanting to take,
but not at that level.
Not at that. You just
not at that level.
He overshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't qualified. What upsets me about today's, Gen Z, Alpha generation, it's like microwavable knowledge. Because we have artificial intelligence, because you can look something up, because you can Google things, people actually think they have real expertise. I see it all the time with the law. They think they can Google a couple of articles on a Supreme Court decision, and they know more about the law than someone like me with a law degree and 30 plus years of experience. You can't microwave a medical degree or a JD, a law degree, or real expertise in politics. You look at somebody like Joe Biden, who gave his 50 years of his life to service. Spencer Pratt is a reality star. How do you think that you can run Los Angeles? I think the hubris that it requires is tremendous.
And hubris is becoming more and more common generationally. I think you're right about
more
that.
And more. They think that hard work doesn't matter, and it does. They think expertise doesn't matter, and it does. And nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
To work hard.
No, I agree with you about that. Speaking of people that have worked hard, Laverne Cox was on today talking about her memoir. And she talked about generational trauma and how it took years for her to forgive her mother emotionally abusing her, is what she said. And
physically.
And to understand that her mom did the best that she could at the same time.
Yeah.
Is this something you could relate to in any way?
It's real growth.
Yeah.
Well, I do relate to the generational trauma thing.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't think is understood enough within the African American community. We had that discussion on Friday about, are you proud to be American?
Yeah, people did. People responded to your
did
thing
they?
a lot.
Yeah. I'm not on social media like that, but you've got to think about the lived experience of an African American woman in this country. You've got to think about the fact that my father did not have full civil rights. My father, who's still alive and who I'm very close to, when he married my mother, who was a white-facing Latina, was run out of Georgia by the KKK, who drank from separate water fountains, who was told, even though he had great grades, that he should be a janitor instead of a doctor. And then his mother, my grandmother, who had a sixth grade education because she had to go to work, and her mother, who I also knew, was a sharecropper. This is generational trauma that's baked into our lived experience,
Right.
our lived experiences. So when you ask me, am I proud of where we are now in this country? Am I a proud American? I mean, that comes with a heaviness of trauma that Black and brown people experience that, quite frankly, white folks don't. And so we have different lenses of what it means to be an American, because as a Black American, I've had a different life. Even though I'm successful, even though I'm wealthy, my community has had a very different lived experience to this day. My children have experienced racism, and it hits different when you ask me what it feels like to be American today.
When people push back on that, and I'm not one of the ones who do, but when the people push back on that, they cite the fact that you are so successful.
Yeah.
that
Do you
you've
know how hard
accomplished
I've
all
had
these
to
things.
work?
Of course.
Twice as hard to get half as far.
Well, what they would
is a
say
fact.
is there another country where you would have been able to put this role, making the money you make on television with all these people with this platform?
Sure.
Yeah, and so
Sure.
that's what they would come back at you with.
Sure.
So you called America a failed experiment when you were on Friday.
Well, and I corrected myself as a failing.
Failing. That's what I was going to ask. So you
I
still
think
have hope.
I think, yeah, I have hope. But the notion that in 2026, my children have less civil rights than I had.
That's horrible and terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so any scientific experiment that you would take, because I've discussed this with my husband, because apparently he heard some of the blowback when I said it's a failing experiment. If an experiment is working, this type of thing doesn't happen. There are leaps forward, not backwards. So it is a failing experiment. Maybe there will be changes, and
Have there been times you've been more hopeful?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like it's always been here. It's just where we are right now is bringing.
The past
Yes.
10 years
Yeah.
have been something that I did not think I would see in my lifetime.
Agreed.
And a Black generational trauma that African Americans
That's easy to dismiss if people in your life haven't gone through it. I think
have
that's what it is. Yeah.
experienced in this country and continue to experience. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the truth.
And we've seen in the last 10 years, to your point.
It's gotten worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. What did Manny say about it? Did he agree with you?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It is a failing experiment. We are more divided now than we have ever been before. And I think that what's very clear to me is that people have been emboldened to say things that I think have been there,
Yeah. That you,
but they would never have said before.
that I really believed people had evolved past, and it's unfortunate.
And they have not.
Yeah.
The misogyny, the xenophobia, the racism.
Yeah.
I have experienced an uptick. And I will tell you, I mean, just recently in my new neighborhood, I had an experience at a community meeting where someone came in with a shirt on the back that said "Proud to be white," and on the front that said some other things. And you can be proud to be white,
Sure.
but he meant it to be provocative, right? And it felt unsafe to me. It felt unsafe.
I'm sorry.
Why should I feel unsafe at a community meeting?
Right. Right. And what's the intent in wearing that when you go there? Is
Of course,
to make
it
people
was
feel
to
uncomfortable.
intimidate
Yeah.
and to make people feel uncomfortable and unwelcome.
When they
And
talk,
it's 2026.
when we're looking at the 250th anniversary that everyone's talking
Yes,
about,
yes.
I mean, it really does put everything into stark perspective. And
Well, it shows you how young this country
That's
is
right.
and how young this experiment is. But I'm going to be part of ABC programming, and I'm highlighting Puerto Rico, which is basically a commonwealth, a colony of America. There are people, but we're American citizens. There are people that think Puerto Ricans are not Americans.
that's been so shocking to me to read that and read people saying that and references to that.
Puerto Ricans don't celebrate July 4th in that way, in the way that African Americans don't celebrate 1776, because African Americans were enslaved in 1776. They were not considered people. They were considered 3/5 of a person. And so you want me to celebrate 1776 when my ancestors were not free,
Right.
that were not independent, didn't get independence. I mean, think about that. Think about what a big ask that is. It's pretty significant.
Can you look at the 250 and say there are things to celebrate about the fact
Sure.
that America's got a birthday, that it's here,
Sure.
and there are parts
It's
of our history,
complicated.
but it's complicated.
And we've got to be honest about it.
That's the most
And
important
my
thing. I think you're right.
concern is there are many people that refuse to be honest about it, that still say this is the greatest nation in the world. Other nations don't agree with that. And we've got to be honest with ourselves about how young we are and how much we have to learn and how much we have to grow and where we are right now. And I'm willing to be honest about it. And I don't care that I take that much heat.
And should we be further along 250 years into?
Of course we should. Of course we should. You know, and I talk about just the African American experience, but think about the Latino experience now and what's happening to Latinos all over this country, and think about Native Americans and what has happened to that community. You know,
So celebrate honestly, I guess, is what we should be
celebrate
doing.
honestly with everything, truth and reconciliation. But truth is the biggest part of it. And what I'm seeing is a lack of truthfulness and an erasure of history, because there are things that I'm sure people aren't proud of, but they won't admit to that. And that dismisses my lived experience.
Well, you know what'll help? A giant UFC fight on the White House lawn. I think that'll really lay everything bare.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you for joining me today, Sunny Hostin. I was going to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce
I
getting
don't really
married at
care
Madison
about
Square
that.
Garden, but it feels light at the moment. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, I'll be back with our guest co-host, Cheryl Underwood.
Yes,
That'll
yes,
be
I
fun.
love Cheryl.
I'm excited to have her back.
She's one of those anomalies, a black Republican.
There you go.
It's a unicorn.
We'll get some answers. I'll see you then.